I'm riding my bicycle around the world. I finished off my South American tour, and my next adventure is to ride from Central Australia to London. My goal is to show you that adventure is merely a mindset that can be achieved by anyone in any situation, and that we're all capable of anything that we set our minds to. So far in the series, I made a bike dressed as a camel and rode her 2,000 kilometers through the centre of Australia, for no reason at all except just to do it. Last episode, I arrived into the North Australian city of Darwin on Alice the camel bike. I then packed her up and flew off to Norway to work in the North Sea for a few months. Now the time has come for me to return to Darwin and continue the adventure. Awash with culture and new experiences. Welcome to the Ratbag Nomads.
Do you hear that? That's a bow thruster. I am in Norway. It's freezing cold. I'm in the North Sea and I've been on board now for about 6 weeks. Tomorrow I am getting off the boat and heading to Darwin via Argentina to see my girlfriend, because I better see her or she's gonna kick me in the bum. And then I plan on going to Darwin and then trying to find a boat that's going to take me across the Indian Ocean to one of the 1,000 islands that are across. Let's try again. Hello, rat bags. I've been working 12 hours on, 12 hours off. I work night shift, so I haven't seen the sun very much. In my off time, I've been trying to find a boat that's going to take me from Darwin over to Indonesia, and all I've got is messages back saying that they're not interested. So there's a yacht race leaving 3 days after I land, so hopefully I can find a spot on one of those boats. But I haven't had any luck yet, so wish me luck. Let's get off this boat and get back to adventuring.
I arrived in Darwin 3 days before the Ambon yacht race to try my luck with the positive attitude of nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Good morning, rat bags. Here we are in Darwin. I'm just out the front of the sailing club and I'm on my way inside now to go and put some notices up on the board and put the word out there that there is a qualified rat bag that wants to come on your boat. So wish me luck. So I just went in. They didn't seem very hopeful and a bit standoffish. So let's see what happens.
None of the yachties seemed to be helpful. Everyone I spoke to had a snobbish disposition, as if I was trying to bring a camel on the boat. And in the end, I watched the yacht race leave and sail over the horizon. I then walked the docks for a week more. I had a lead on a cargo boat that seemed promising for a few days, but due to insurance, that got squashed. In the interest of a rolling stone gathers no moss, I booked a flight to the closest substantial island north of us, the country of East Timor. I felt disappointment not being able to find a boat to cross the ocean, as which was my original plan, but I pushed that aside, as I'd placed those expectations on myself. Anyways, after an impetuous thought, I was on a plane, on a new adventure, and a little unprepared. An old Timorese myth has it that the country was created when a crocodile transformed into an island to repay a little boy who had helped him once when he was sick. Although the island of Timor is one of the poorest places in the world, struggling with illiteracy and extreme poverty, its lively spirit makes it a place of strong character. The native people are descendants of the Australian Aborigines, and the official religion is Roman Catholicism. Deep in the highlands, tribes and headhunters still dwell in ancient rainforests, living by the laws of nature. Welcome to East Timor, or TimorLeste. In the Malay language, Timor means east. So really it's east, or
If you go to West Timor, it'll be west-east. But I arrived yesterday to a myriad of people screaming out, Malay, Malay! And today I'm riding west along the coast towards the Indonesian border. It's about 110 kilometers to get there. It's hot. I don't know any of the language. I'm pretty ill prepared. I didn't even bring a map. So I'm trusting on my phone, so hopefully that doesn't get stolen. But first impressions, everyone here seems to be pretty nice. There's lots of hellos. So far I've learned that Malay is foreigner, similar to gringo. I thought that Malay meant hello. So I've been calling out to everyone Malay, Malay, but actually it means gringo. I'm sure we'll learn more as we get going. So let's get on the bike and start pedaling towards Indonesia.
I left the city at first light the following day, and it began time to start living and spending like a homeless person. Timor-Leste is the youngest and newest country in the world, and is still recovering from colonial exploits. The Portuguese had occupied the country for nearly 300 years, and their forts and villas still dot the coast today. Their coffee plantations in the mountains are still productive, and the Timoresians are connoisseurs of some of the finest coffee. Timor-Leste was captured by the Japanese in World War II, and was to be used as a possible staging point for the invasion of Australia. In the 1970s, the Portuguese withdrew completely from the island, and under the political vacuum, the Indonesian government moved in and claimed Timor-Leste for itself. What began was a dark history. Under the heavy hand of Jakarta, it is estimated that 200,000 people were murdered. There were monuments along the route, and I passed places where massacres had been committed in churches and lakes that had been used as mass graves. In the late 90s, following the United Nations sponsored act of self-determination, Indonesia relinquished its control of the territory, and Timor-Leste became a sovereign state. With the assistance of the International Peacekeeping Corps, Indonesia withdrew, but not before a lot of infrastructure like power stations and water processing plants were destroyed. And this history is evident in the tired, leathery faces of the older generation. In the end, the Indonesian generals assisted in the process positively and protected the people of Timor-Leste from hostile forces within. It seemed after reading and hearing stories from both sides, it was a complex issue.
Very good.
The people here were extremely friendly and warm, and they rarely received visitors. Whilst my local Malay dialect language skills were lacking, I was able to communicate with the locals in broken Portuguese, a skill I'd picked up while riding in South America. It was an exciting discovery that I was able to talk with the old people, and it gave me more confidence as I'd felt very vulnerable riding alone and camping in a foreign country.
So here we are in Timor-Leste. Just set up my tent. Well, everyone else is setting up my tent, and I seem to be quite famous on the beach. I've just got close to sunset and decided that I better find a place, and I just asked to the house if I can stay on the beach. And now I've got the welcoming committee. Here we are getting the fire lit. Do you want to use this?
Though I was only in Timor-Leste for a few days, I was profoundly impacted by the history that encompassed it, and how that something so tragic could have happened so close to Australia. I was well treated here, and I was impressed by the people's resilience and optimistic outlook. Their warm smiles gave me hope that they would overcome any hurdles that were in front of this tiny nation. I promised myself that I would return and give something back. At the border town of Atambua, I crossed over the Timor-Leste border and into Indonesia. It was clear straight away that I was in a new country from the condition of the roads and buildings. I decided to treat myself to a shower and a night's accommodation.
Here's my hotel that I'm staying in. It was $20 for the night. It's quite nice. Lots of mosquitoes though. Might have something to do with the stagnant pool of water that's in the middle of the hotel, but still quite good. Alright, so let's have a look at average bathroom in this area of Indonesia. Basically, you've got this bucket thing here. What you do is you turn that on, and then you get this. There's no sink, there's no shower nozzle, there's just this bucket. And if you want to shower, you pick up that bucket, put it over your head, and it goes down that hole. So basically this bucket is also the flusher for the toilet. So you get this, and there's no toilet paper in these plumbings. So you use this bucket, hold it with one hand, and cup and splash your bum with the other hand, and that's how you get your clean bum. But I use toilet paper, of course. Just don't let them know that. Bit basic for those people at home, but it's okay. You can handle it. It's the same as camping, but with a fan. This is the room. This is Ratbag Nomads Central. Under the fan. $20 doesn't get you much. Next door, out the window, you've got your very own mosque. You can't see it out there. There's a mosque out there.
While you couldn't see it, you could definitely hear the morning prayer, and it made for early risers. Travel is about having adventures and experiencing new cultures, and with new cultures comes new religions. Indonesia is a Muslim country, and being here meant respecting people's beliefs and customs. It's my first Muslim country of my travels on the bike.
Welcome to Muslim Asia.
And it meant making a few adaptations.
Wow, it's a dry, dusty day here in Ambula, which is the border city of the frontier with Timor and Indonesia. And yeah, now I have to start dressing a little bit more appropriately. I have to have shoes on, not shoes, but pants that are longer below my knee, and I can't wear a bikini. So yeah, and they don't sell a lot of beer on the street. But today it's windy and dry, and it's not making really wonderful cycling weather.
From the border, I had a week of dusty dirt roads and rolling hills in the sunburnt, arid landscape of West Timor, enjoying my first taste of Indonesian cuisine. I learnt in Bolivia that it's safer to catch a bus into the city.
So I'm cheating and catching the bus today. I've got 100 kilometers left to Kupang, but I don't feel so bad since people are putting their motorbikes on the bus.
With one island finally completed, I got my chance to go on a boat, and I purchased passage on a ferry to the next island. I rode onto the ramp of the ship. The scene on board was a mad dash of fully loaded trucks and scooters. The chief bosun instructed me in broken English to put my bike under the stairs and take all my valuables with me.
There you have it. The last line of the island of Timor has now been thrown. I'm on the Indonesian ferry that cost me $6, and I'm on my way to Flores. It's going to take me 12 hours.
Everything you've heard about Indonesian ferries is true. If you haven't heard anything, expect a bit of an adventure and the possibility of a tetanus infection. I followed the flow of traditionally dressed people upstairs. I've done a few ferries now in the developing world, and it basically goes, rush in, stake your claim in the best possible place, and try to make allies so your possessions are safe. The best allies are families with children, old couples, or other gringos are always a good option. I always bring snacks and colouring in books as gifts for my new adopted family members. Inside the ferry, it was a hot, humid haze of clothes-scented cigarette smoke and people yelling at each other over the top of competing music speakers. The floors weren't clean, they were covered with food wrappers, and cockroaches roamed the halls. It wasn't luxurious, but it was cheap. It wasn't as bad as it sounds. Once you drop your barriers and forfeit to the experience, the people made the journey, and I learnt about the island and its traditions and possible routes I could take on the bicycle. I also heard about a ferry which had sunk the previous month. It had been overloaded with Jesus statues that had shifted in heavy weather, causing the ferry to roll on its side. I contemplated a joke about the significance of religious artifacts being the cause of so much death, but I felt it was probably too soon, and in broken English my point may have been lost. We arrived at Larantuka at first light the following morning. It was a beautiful illuminated scene where the ocean met the mountains,
And we're off the ship.
with an orange mystical sunrise that only Asia has.
Welcome to Larantuka. We're in Flores, and I've just spent the night on the ferry, and there's a towering volcano behind me, and there's chickens going crazy. So basically now I have to go and find a place to have a wash, because there was a lot of cigarette smoke, a lot of cockroaches, and a lot of nose picking and stuff like that. So that was a really good experience, but basically I need to go and have a bath in Dettol now. I know a lot of people that wouldn't have been able to handle that, but all part of the adventure.
I set off from the ferry terminal and I travelled along the coast road to the village of Larantuka. With the jungle above me and the ocean by my side, the sun rays were beaming through the canopy, and I could see and smell smoke from the cooking fires within the huts as I passed the village in the early morning haze. The scene seemed unending, and it had a timeless, deep spiritual sense to it. I lost myself in the moment as I slowly pedalled along, listening to the beating heart of the island. I found myself a hotel with a fresh bucket of water, so I washed and rested before setting off to explore. The island of Flores is 700 kilometers long, full of volcanoes and covered in jungle. Like Timor, Flores has a Portuguese influence, and the main religion here is Catholicism. Each island and country I visit has its own different personality, and instantly I noticed here that the island was relaxed and had a nice country fishing town feel. With my travels around the world, I've had many different names as a foreigner. In South America I was known as a gringo, in the Peruvian jungle I was a pelicata, which means face peeler, and in China I was a Gui Lao, a foreign devil. So far since leaving Dili, almost a month ago, I'd been a Malay, Mr., and now on this island I was known as a Bule. It made for interesting times having so many different names, and it's always good to know what the local name for you is, because at the end of the day, you are at their mercy in a way. This end of the island really was off the beaten track. People would spot me on the bike and jump up and run from their houses staring, screaming foreigner in whatever dialect. After my camel bike adventure, I was used to the attention, but being so closely watched every moment of the day sometimes made me feel a little uneasy. I didn't know it at this stage, but today was going to be one of those days that makes all the uncomfortable moments worth it.